teach you the nature of evidence, though, because the problem is all these guys who are smart, they're not evidentialists. They don't understand how evidence works. We have rules of evidence we use in a court of law every day. And these guys who are talking to you, Richard, David, Mark, they don't understand a thing. I don't think they've ever served on a jury, at least not a homicide jury. That's all I work now, are cold case homicides. They're very similar to studying the Gospels. They're very similar to studying Jesus, studying an ancient event 30 years ago, for which there are no living eyewitnesses usually. Not a lot of forensic evidence, that's why it's cold. But there's a good circumstantial case we can make. Well, it's Jesus, an ancient event. No living eyewitnesses. No forensic evidence, but a good circumstantial case you can make. It's very similar to what I do in cold cases every day. This is a murderer. He's going to kill somebody with that club, with that bat. Okay? It would be great if we had direct evidence. Direct evidence, because that's what all these atheists think. Unless I have direct evidence, nothing can be proven. David will have you believe that unless you have direct evidence, you can't learn or know anything. But the only kind of direct evidence of whether or not this guy's the killer would be if we had a witness who said, I saw him kill her. And if I had 3 of these, it'd be even better, right? 3 of these witnesses. Well, guess what? I've never had a case with a witness. I've done 6 cold cases in the last 4 years. I don't have any witnesses who saw the murder. I don't have any DNA, any fingerprints. We're making all of our cases circumstantially. I want to see tonight if you guys could sit on one of my juries, okay? I'm going to test you. This is called direct evidence because what she offers points directly to the fact of his guilt. And we call this direct evidence. But aside really from eyewitness testimony, there's not a lot of other things that can be direct evidence. Well, how about DNA? What if I had his DNA on her? Well, he might have a reason why it should be on her. That doesn't mean he killed her. It's just circumstantial. You have to, well, how can it be direct? Only if she sees it. Well, guess what? We don't have a lot of those cold cases. And we don't have that kind of thing right now. A living eyewitness who can testify for us about Jesus. We have documents, though, that I think are very reliable. So, okay, this is direct physical evidence. Now, let's just say, though, this witness didn't see. He's got a mask on, for one thing. He can't really tell who he is. How will we know if that's the killer? She didn't see his face, but she can see his general. Oh, sorry. Correct. Somebody put his water here. Anyway. So,
David.
Was it David?
It was the game.
Oh, that's okay. All right. But the point is, we don't have a good. He can't identify this person later by his face, can he? Can she? No. Okay. But we have to maybe look at making the case some other way. You're on the jury. I want you to tell me when you think our guy is guilty, okay? Let's pretend, for example, that we go do a search warrant. Well, let's just start with this instead. Let's say we do an interview. And we talk to him about where he was at the time of the murder. And he says at the time of the murder, I can't account for my whereabouts at the time of the murder. I can't. As a matter of fact, maybe I was over here playing basketball. But you go and interview the basketball players and they say, no, he wasn't here. That's all you have so far. He can't account for himself at the time of the murder. Will you convict him? Is he guilty?
Not yet.
Not yet. It's not enough yet, right? We have a piece of evidence, though. This is an important, it's called circumstantial evidence, but it's an important piece of evidence. He cannot account for himself at the time of the murder. So you do a search warrant at the house and you discover there's a bat in his house. And that bat has got dings on it that are consistent with the murder. But when you do the analysis, you don't get any DNA. You get a sign of some type of KM positive. There's some kind of biological material, but when you do the test for DNA, it's just not enough. But you've got a bat, and it even looks like the bat that the witness saw the murderer carrying. It's very similar to the bat. And it seems to have damage that will be consistent with the murder, and there's even some kind of biological material on it, but we can't make out what it is. Is he guilty yet? No. 2 things, though. 2 things. Third thing is, when we do the search warrant, we find that, gosh, you know what? He's got a pair of jeans just like our guy. But there's no blood on it or anything. No, I got a pair of jeans. We're all wearing jeans. I mean, what does that mean, right? So now, but you have 3 things. They're consistent with what you saw. Is he guilty yet? No. Let's add another piece. Turns out that at the murder scene, there was no signs of forced entry. No signs of forced entry. And he happens to have at his house a key that fits the house of the victim. Ooh. Can we all say that together, please? Ooh, that's good. Now we're close. I think we're pretty close here now. Okay, what do you guys think? Is he guilty yet? No. Oh, come on! He's got a key in their house. You still think he's guilty?
But it's somebody could be framing it like it still needs a little.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's add another piece. You do an interview with this guy, and man, he gives up some really conflicting stories. It's clear that he does not really like the victim. He doesn't want you to know. He uses guarded language with her. He had some little things slip out in the interview. He's agitated. You know what an innocent person sounds like? You know what a guilty person sounds like? This guy sounded really irritable, especially at the time of the murder. When you start saying, hey, where were you at 4 o'clock? He's like getting really, he just sounds hinky. But has he ever confessed to it? No. What do you guys think? Is he guilty yet? Got a pair of boots there. A pair of boots matches the victims, the eyewitnesses who saw them wearing boots. She saw him wear a pair of boots that had a certain thick rubber sole that actually curved up the back. And when you do a little research, you find out there's only 2 manufacturers of that kind of boot. Just 2. 2 pairs. In your town, they've only sold 40 pairs of those boots in the last 10 years. And he's got one of them. What do you think? Is he guilty? No. He's got some really, this guy's got some really, but he's not there yet, huh? What if afterwards you find out that you go to his house, you find out that on the day of the murder, before the murder occurred, it occurs at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, at 2 o'clock, Knucklehead has written himself a suicide note. He's very depressed over his relationship with the victim. And he says he's about to kill himself. But he never did. No. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going.
The victim, okay, no one says he's guilty yet? He's got a
guilty.
keto story about his alibi. He's got the club in his house. He's got the pants and the boots. The boots are rare. He's got a pair of the rare boots. He's clearly nervous. He's got a way to get in the house without forcing entry. What if I told you there's only one key into that house? The key in her hand and the key that he owns. Does that make a difference? That's 2 keys. You get my meaning though, right? I can narrow it down, tighten it down a little, right? But you still don't think he's guilty? Is he close to guilty? Yeah. He's close. Turns out the witness, when she saw the suspect drive away, that guy drove away in a 1972 ochre-colored Carmen Ghia. He owns his house, and turns out he opens his garage door, he's got a 1972 ochre-colored Carmen Ghia. Is he guilty now? I got a hanging jury here, right? Why? Why all this stuff? Because we realize that as we add these pieces all are consistent. I'm sorry, I don't know how to use this. Now it's clear here that his innocence may still be possible, but it's also clear that it's no longer reasonable. We talked about this morning. Possible doesn't matter. Reasonable matters. And as we added this case and we built it up, it became less and less reasonable that he could be innocent, right? That's important. That's how we make cases, guys. All these pieces of evidence point to him. They're all consistent with his guilt. Now the defense attorney is going to come in and say, well, you know, I discovered there's 2 other Carmen Ghias on the West Coast. And we don't know if that's the original painting. You've got to find some other way to explain the evidence away. And each one of these are going to say, no, it's that color. And that's because of that. And that's because of that. And it's like, boy, this guy's got bad luck. Everything to do with him, just the stars happen to align against him that day. It just stinks, doesn't it? Or he did it, which is more reasonable. That's what we do in front of a jury every day. We take circumstantial evidence. Basically, all these things surround him. And we call a case like this circumstantial. And what I want you to know, what the atheist doesn't seem to get, when we go into a jury and we instruct the jury, we have to explain to them, the judges have to explain to them, that circumstantial evidence is every bit as powerful as direct evidence. As a matter of fact, you're not allowed to denigrate the case, to kind of tear it down, because you think that it's not the same. Circumstantial evidence is every bit as good as direct evidence. So when we make a case for Christ, or a case for the gospel writers, or whatever we're doing, we're going to make it circumstantially. But trust me, I put guys in jail for the rest of their lives, every year, with nothing but circumstantial evidence. Nothing but circumstantial evidence. This stuff's powerful. And if we can put people in jail and take away their lives in matters of life and death, with nothing but circumstantial evidence, you can certainly make a decision about your eternal life with nothing but circumstantial evidence.